This podcast is sponsored by Field Agent Canada.
You know what, guys? Retailers and brand folks, listen up. Things are moving fast out there. You got your product listed.
How do you know if it made it to the store? And then how do you know if it made it to the shelf? And then how do you know if it made it to the right part of the shelf? You have a really short window to prove success, but you can't prove success if you can't prove if it's there or not.
I mean, it was one of the most frustrating things, even when I was a buyer, is that I would tell you, you got your product listed. Yes, it's going out. You're going to be in 50 stores. Should be out this week. Well, there's times where someone could have gone in the store 2 weeks later and still found 15%, 20% of stores didn't have it.
And unless you're in every store in the country all at once, how the heck are you supposed to keep track of it all?
That's where Field Agent comes in. These folks get into stores coast to coast and tell you what's actually going on in the stores.
Shelf placement, pricing, packaging, compliance, you name it. And it starts at $16 a store.
Stop guessing. Get the data. Contact Field Agent Canada.
Check out www.fieldagentcanada.com and see what they can do for you.
Hey, welcome to This Commerce Life, an unscripted podcast that focuses on the stories behind small and independent Canadian retail and Canadian CPG.
What we try and do is deliver or pull out the story of our guests and give them to you. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly of retail and CPG in Canada. We're filling a need because we think that retail is hard on the best of days, but it's also a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up and make your living.
We also think that the industry, nor the people that inadvertently find themselves in the industry, really understand the industry at all. They don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes.
So listen to us, Phil and Kenny. We'll unravel it for you. We'll give you the story. We'll give you the story behind the story. Thanks, Kenny. Yeah.
I know the one. That's the one. Just relax. I can do the text.
That's the one. That's the one. Yay.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Justin, how are you?
No, you did good. Good job, Kenny.
I'm doing well, Kenny. Thank you for asking. I'm doing okay. I was explaining that I've had a few a confluence of challenges. My power's out. My one of my dogs is quite sick, so it's
oh no.
Yeah. The dog part's shitty too. Where
is your doggy okay?
Pardon me?
Go, Phil. Where are you?
Is your doggy okay?
My dog's my dog's quite old, so she's in her last. Okay. I honestly think her last phases of life, and I live in Mount Pleasant, so I'm sort of Fraser and Kingsway.
Yeah.
So they shut the power off. They just they give you the warning, and then it just goes off and they don't really know how long. They kind of just sort of give you a broad window. It's like sort of like delivery. We'll give you about a 5 to 8 hour window.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just weird that like there's nothing going on in the city. I mean, there's no wind, there's no rain.
No, I think it's an upgrade, as they like to paint it.
Oh, those things. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't notice any improvements in my power supply, but it's an upgrade somehow. I don't know.
But it's there.
Well,
you just don't know.
You'll see the improvement in your bill. The total cost of your power will go up. So
that's where the improvement. That's what they mean by upgrade, I guess.
That's right.
More expensive.
Upgraded your bill.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, I mean, it's whatever. Is the restaurant impacted? Because you're not that far from the restaurant.
No, it's not. Oddly, it's just in this very small pocket. So
just a little pocket there.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
as long as you're generating revenue sometime today, that's all good in the hood.
That's it. That's true. Every day. We have those conversations. It's nice to meet you as well. Absolutely.
I had the pleasure. I talked to Justin a little while ago. We had a chat for a bit. So, and then I'm pretty excited that he came on because I like the Burgoo restaurant. So I mean,
thank you. Appreciate that.
Excited. Yeah. Well, we don't get it. We do so much CPG and so much grocery or like that sort of the side of the world. We've had restaurants on. Phil's got a really cool restaurant that he goes to in Ontario that we had on. Food's amazing. Like it's just kind of fusion-y kind of shit going on.
Mom and pop,
just cool shit. Like every day, like similar to yours, not the same sort of feel, but that homey, just old school, like you feel really good when you leave.
Like genuine service, like we actually care about you being there. Is that part?
Yeah.
Like I love that kind of essence of that.
Totally. And where she gets mad if you don't eat.
Right. Right. I
Hey,
love the
True,
mom and pop
actually.
energy. That mom and pop energy is so great.
come on, that's the shit. That's why. That's when price goes away.
Yes.
You know what I
It's
mean? That's when
experiential.
it's all good. It
Sure.
just feels okay. It
Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
okay. So we'll do.
Yeah.
Usually we take an hour to roll into, but we'll roll in quicker. Justin Joyce on today. Justin is I can't remember the name of the parent company. Justin's in charge of the Burgoo restaurants, or
Yes,
owns the Burgoo restaurants in
that's
Vancouver.
true.
There's
Yes.
4 locations now,
Oh,
right?
that's right. Yes, four.
I only know the one on Main.
The one there's
That's the one.
there is one on Main, which is one of our more popular locations, of course.
Yeah.
There's one in North Vancouver at the bottom of Lonsdale.
Okay.
There's one up by the university, which was the first one, right up on West 10th, right. I mean, just before the gates to the university.
Oh, right by Blanca, sort of thing. Like
Yes, it's between Trimble and Sassamass, so it's a few blocks down, but it's right there. And then we have another one downtown across from St. Paul's Hospital, Burrard and Helmpton.
Oh. I thought the only one was Main Street, and I thought that would have obviously been the first one. I didn't realize the UBC one was the first.
Yes, it was. It was cheap back then. It was cheap to get into the market. I mean,
Not anymore.
No, not absolutely not. But it
not
was
there
at the time.
anyway.
It was easy. It was easy to.
Yeah.
It was a small footprint and sort of easy to do ourselves and work on site. So things have certainly changed, as you reference.
Yeah, our city has definitely changed. Well, Main Street at one time, nobody wanted to be on Main Street.
That's
it
true.
Was all, when I moved down here, 40 years ago, it was pawn shops, antique shops, interesting people, leave it at that.
Yeah.
Just an interesting street.
Yes.
Now it's like kind of like a food, coffee, little mecca.
It really is. I mean, there's a number. There are so many coffee shops and restaurants between West 9th or Broadway and 33rd. It's incredible the number.
All the way to 33rd now. It used to be to about 28, and it's gone all the way down.
Yes, it's incredible. But we used to have a carrot. We used to have a carrot patch out front of our when we were building Burgoo Main Street. There was a carrot patch outside that was tended to by the locals, and they would use our water because we have a spigot outside of our, and they would water the carrots, and it was great. It's kind of very colorful. It was kind of a fun time.
It used to be cool. It used to be, when it was it's bad. Like when it was rougher, it was actually had a really cool edge. Like Main Street was. I liked going because I did like the secondhand shops and the antique shop. I like all that shit, and I like the edge of it. It's kind of lost the edge.
It's more
still
polished.
Good.
It's more polished now.
Yeah, it's a little West Sidey.
A little more civilized.
Okay. Civilized. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go civilized. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you lived in Vancouver, it's kind of West Side feeling now. It's a little lost that grit.
Where do you have to go in the city now? You have to go further east. Do you have to go to Nanaimo? Do you have to go Pat Rupert?
I mean, the drive is still fairly gritty. I would say sort of mid Victoria, between like the 33rd and 49th. And Fraser's got a cool edge to it because, it's sort of like Little India. Like it's got like a cool vibe still.
It is, and it is continuing to evolve as well. And I appreciate Fraser specifically. There's a lot of new sort of experimental restaurants coming out, more coffee shops as well.
Cool shit on it, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
And all the way from where you are. What's the French restaurant there on the corner?
Le Faux Bourgeois. Yeah,
and then from there, and you've got Savio. You got that corner all the way up. Now it's almost 49th even.
No, it's
cool pockets.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's all kinds of little shops opening up and little cool restaurants opening up and a lot of independence. And I like to see that. I love to see that.
I love the independence. I think that's why we, Phil and I do this. First up, it's pretty much a Canadian focused podcast, clearly.
Yeah.
Mostly Canadian business. Again, a lot of CPG, but mostly independent. We don't do multinationals. I mean, they got enough media. They don't need us. It's kind of like, protecting the hood, wherever the hood might be, whether it's in Toronto, East Van, Kamloops. I don't know.
We just think that, one of those things is like Canada has a lot of really interesting stories. We have amazing entrepreneurs and we have people that run cool businesses. So to us, there's kind of like this
really genuine Canadian story that's out there. And honestly, we're 450 episodes in, and we haven't been disappointed yet, right? Like, just every story, you think there's only a handful of ways to do business, and yet, like, all of the stories are fucking cool, right? So
I feel like that's a lot of pressure, Phil.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same. That was like way to put in a lot of weight on your shoulders there. But okay.
No. That's no. It's no.
Bill, you try the food, you won't even worry about it. You try the food, like you can carry it.
No, listen. I was looking at the menu. The menu's already. Already. So I have to when I was signing in this morning, I'm still thinking about it, because like when you hit great restaurants, right? There's just something about it. Like, the price really does go away. And then there are moments where you go, how did that happen? Like, so Kenny and I, we won't name the restaurant, right? But we were out on the island on Tuesday, and we ordered what should be like a routine kind of like Happy Meal, if you will, right? Like, so we didn't go where the Happy Meal is made, but we went and got a burger. And like a burger and a salad, burger and a soup. And it was so underwhelming that 5 hours later, the two of us kind of, like, I looked at him on the way home and went, whatever we eat tonight, it can't be that.
Like, we're on the ferry thinking,
that was just so.
Justin, you know what it was? And it was a 50-50 burger, right? So beef and sausage, pork. And I thought, shit, this,
sounded good.
So you already shouldn't be able to miss,
cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, just underwhelming, like just disappointingly underwhelming.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a function of costs? Do you think it's a function of costs that they are enduring? Is it just their commitment to quality? Is it, what do you think the explanation for that was?
I think one of the misses was, for sure, this was definitively underseasoned.
Okay.
Definitively underseasoned.
So just commitment, or maybe
was okay,
whoever it was having a bad morning, or I don't know. But it really it lacks soul. It lacks some get up and go. Yeah.
You know what I guess sometimes what you forget, and like people, if you're gonna go to a restaurant, like, fucking leave the salt and fat issue at home. Like, you don't want salt at home. You want your food to be bland, and you don't want fat in your food. Like, light it up.
You don't need to be salty like Kenny, but you need some seasoning in your life.
When you hit a restaurant that's gonna cook, I'm sorry, salt and fat are kind of like critical.
That's where the flavor lies.
Well, and it pops the other flavors of what it's not. I don't want to eat a bag of salt, but salt pops shit, right? And I thought, like, if the presentation wasn't brutal, Phil, like, the burger looked good.
No, the burger itself was made well. The bun was good. The presentation was good. It just lacked.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I'm telling that story because I have a real appreciation for restaurants. Like, I think it's easy to slag restaurants. You have a tough day, or somebody in the kitchen's having a tough day, or somebody doesn't show up, is sick or whatever. But I think I have a real appreciation for the joy that great food brings you. I think that's a thing, right? So, and you've got, like, the menu looks amazing. I don't know why Kenny's never taken me to the Burgoo, but that's an entirely different, every time I come out here, there's a new question of, like, why have we not gone there? I don't understand, right? But that's a Phil and Kenny question.
I don't wander that far to the west side. I typically stay in this side of the city. That's why.
So Justin, when I get to your restaurant, it might be the thing that breaks up our friendship, because I might be like, Kenny, what the fuck?
How dare you,
times I've been there, and, like, how dare you leave this off the menu? Like, come on.
Well, I hope that's not the case that you break up, but I do hope that you go to the restaurant.
We will hit the restaurant. There's a few, like, for example, like, I've been, and because I like it, right? I've been going to Dario's La Piazza for 40 years. Like, almost 40 years, like when Claudio pretty much started. Because my wife
also not been there either.
He hasn't been there either. And I live on 16 in Renfrew.
Oh no, you're right next door.
Yeah, it's 2.5 blocks.
Yeah,
and I added the half a block just to make it sound like there's an effort, right? So I mean, I haven't even taken them there, and I really do like it because I like Claudio, I like Lydia, I like Marcello, I like the restaurant Norbert. Like, I love the place, but even that, You guys, I love because I just like if I would just swim in a bowl of the beef bourguignon all day. I don't care what else you make. You can shut the rest of the menu down. You can tell me you're out of everything. Just don't be out of that.
We're not. We're typically not.
Yeah, I know. And that's to me. I don't need to wander into. I don't care. I hit that, and I just happy.
Nice. That's the goal. The goal is to be genuine about what we serve. We've tried hard to keep it honest, because it's, using quality ingredients and traditional cooking practices and really trying to deliver. And it's hard. It's hard to work on a day in, day out. I mean, we're open 364 days a year.
A lot.
It's a lot of work. And so to keep it that way and to keep the service conscientious is also hard because, it evolves. I mean, we opened 2001 is when we opened. So to keep, to keep inspired, it's a long time. And so to keep that energy alive and to keep people, interested in not just our business, but in any business, it's hard to maintain that. So it's been quite fun, I would say, in many circumstances, because watching the evolution of the world, because in 24 years, the world has changed dramatically. Yeah. And eating practices have changed. Eating practices have come and gone. And so to endure all that, it's kind of fun in many ways, just to bear witness to it.
We say the same. Like they're tough industries. Like CPG is bad, restaurant is worse. I don't know how you guys do it because it's a real grind. Like it's
an amazing thing you guys do.
So when you guys do it and you're successful, like God bless you, because that's a tough grind. And you're even got, when you look at it, like at one time, retail and food service, you could make a career, you can make a life out of it, right? Mm-hmm. If you were a great server, I know that's not demeaning. If you were a great server and provide a great service, like you could make a wicked living. I think you still can, but it's not as sexy as it used to be. Nobody wants to work retail. Nobody wants to work food service. You know what I mean? Like it's too bad because they're essential. Like you need to be able to go out for dinner too. You don't need to go out for dinner, but you need to go out for dinner.
Sure. Just so like sort of for your soul, you need to go for dinner. You need to go out and just experience that. Yeah. My serving teams always ask me if I should serve, and I say nobody wants me serving them. I'd have to work at a steakhouse. At a steakhouse, I could maybe do something, but no one wants to see me beside their table. They don't. I should be in the background, never to be seen or heard. Seen.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what's the history like? So you opened Burgoo's in 2001, you said, or 2002?
2001. Yeah. Christmas, we opened at Christmas time.
Family was in the restaurant business. Like comes naturally. Or
what's the why restaurant?
That's
why restaurant?
Why? Why is a great question. I kind of fell into it. To be honest, I was on my way to university. A couple times. But the one particular time I was on my way to university and I stopped in Calgary. I had family there, so I thought I stopped there and decided not to go to university at that time. Met a really, really great guy who was the owner of the restaurant I was working at. I got invited to move to Vancouver. Asked that guy if he would lend me some money to open a restaurant in Vancouver. He said yes on a handshake. I shook his hand and I promised him I'd pay him back, which of course I did. Paid him back and opened a restaurant called the Funky Armadillo in 1992. So that was how I got here. Had opened up a few other restaurants at that time and some other businesses. And then eventually developed the concept for Burgoo, and I just kept going. It was sort of just became part of my blood, and I opened it in 2001 with some partners after I'd written the business plan, and it's evolved a lot since 2001. Not only has society evolved, but also our menu has evolved, and sort of the heart, I think, is still there. Like I actually try to preach, caring about the experience of the guest, really caring, like genuinely caring. Like it's not about bringing them stuff or things that they've asked for. Like understand that you can provide them something they don't expect because you're being sort of alive to who they are. Like everyone is different, and recognize that there's a difference in everybody that comes in, and try to really figure out who they are in question. right? Like what would that, if I was them, what would I want? Not what do I want, but what do they want?
Right.
And that's been a kind of a fun practice to sort of train the teams on, try to help them see beyond themselves and say, oh, I wonder what that what does that old man want? Or what does that young woman want? Or what does that kid want? Or what does that person want? You know, it's really quite and I think it's difficult oftentimes as people have become more attached to their phones to see outside themselves and to see what somebody else might want. So I think it's a fresh, in their minds, for the serving teams, it's fresh for them to sort of recognize that. So that's sort of the evolution of how it happened, was really caring about it, really trying to make quality food affordable. Because 2001, if you'll remember, that's 9/11, right? So 9/11 was, everyone kind of needed comfort. It was kind of it was a scary time. And it's still a scary time. And I think everybody kind of wants to be comforted. And really, if you come in somewhere and someone shows you that I really care about your experience, I genuinely want you to enjoy yourself. If that can be the message, I think that's, like you said earlier, about the price sort of fades into the background.
Yeah.
Because that's what that's all anybody wants. I want to be heard. I want to be cared for. I want to be taken care of. I want to forget all my troubles while I'm here. And because the troubles, once I walk out, are going to return really quickly.
Yeah, you get that 2-hour reprieve.
Yeah, right. You get 2 hours to,
more,
to forget all that.
You know, today it feels like more might have developed in those 2 hours while you're eating.
Well, that's
true.
It.
Like, true.
It's hour by hour.
Yeah. So
that's,
can I go back for a minute? Because you you were on your way to uni and then decided you weren't going to go to uni.
Yeah, yes, I was on my way I was accepted at the University of Alberta, and I was on my way, and I stopped. And on the way, I ran into some friends along the way. Stopped in Winnipeg to talk to an old manager, a restaurant manager of mine, and they kept asking me, "Why are you going to Edmonton? Why would you want to go to Edmonton?" I mean, I like Edmonton, but they couldn't figure out.
It's a why.
It was like, why wouldn't you go? And I was like, well, I got accepted to university. Of course I'm going. And I kept getting that question. And then when I found this fellow in Calgary who really took me under his wing and helped me understand the hospitality industry, I realized, oh, well, maybe that's not for me at this time. And when I asked him about opening a business and whether he could lend me money or not, he was keen. And I thought, well, I was 21. I mean, I was a young man. I didn't have any stress. There's really no stress in my world. So I was like, okay, if you lend me money. I had a friend out here who was already operating a restaurant and he wanted to open something with me. And I said, great. Yeah, I don't need to go to university, I guess. And so we opened up a couple restaurants and some other things.
What were you going to university for? Like, what were you,
my goal was English literature. So something really useful.
Yes.
Well, it could be useful. Thought that. but like, were you cooking when you were like? I'm trying to like. That's great. English lit to owning a restaurant on a fly-by stop-off is just a little weird, but that's okay. It's your world.
Right. So from one English lit to a would-be English lit, like you can do anything. Because clearly, I'm not doing anything English lit either. But I think to Kenny's point is there's like a different dimension there, right? Because I think most kids on their way to uni. I don't know. I can speak for myself. I didn't have any of that kind of lateral thinking to go, no, I won't go, or I don't need to go now, or maybe I don't need to go ever. Like, hey, let's go start a business. Like, let's go.
Well, I guess I had some unusual influences in my upbringing. I kind of was exposed to wine at a very young age. So I had a wine mentor in Ontario because I was in the service industry almost right away. From my youth. So the moment I could take tables and serve, I started as a dishwasher in a hospital, which was a nightmare. Yeah. It's tough working. Wow. Then I moved to the front house and did service, bartending and all that kind of stuff. But I was exposed to a wine guy who was a bit of a snob. As I reflect on him, he was a bit of a snob, and I never wanted that. I never wanted that to be how I ever connected with anybody. I want a human. Like I don't view world as hierarchical. I view it as a plane, and we're all in different sections of that same plane. Mm-hmm. You might have a different responsibility than mine, but it's no more important than mine, and mine's certainly not more important than yours. Right. So for me, I sort of stepped away from that wine mentor, but the learning I got was kind of inspiring. So I really wanted to share that. So my first restaurants were very alcohol heavy, like different kinds of scotches, and it was difficult at that time in BC because they really had limited scotches back in the early 90s. Much better now, but scotches and beers and wines became a focus. So when I came out here, when I came to Calgary, and I had the opportunity, a guy who was living here said, "Do you want to go to university or you want to open a restaurant?" That's what I was like. Wow, that seems like an obvious choice, right? Like who at 21 doesn't want to open a restaurant? I was like, great. So I was like, sure. So I made a beeline for the coast, and
always on the business side. Were you like, did you cook at home? Did you like these recipes or these inspirations from when you were little? Like mom cooked.
So the exposure to the recipes was just having worked in different restaurants. Okay. So I kind of understand. I did cook, and I did it, but I didn't cook. The development of this menu was one of my business partners, who's our executive chef, Stefan. He has done a very good job, but it was my job to propose, this is how I want it to be in the business plan. So here's the business plan. Here's how I see it. And he did a great job at sort of taking that and massaging it to be how it is. And so, as I said, it's evolved. It was, when we first started, we didn't have any sandwiches, none, not one. And now our grilled cheese is one of the most popular sandwiches by far. We had, I don't know, I'm going to say 10 soups and 15 stews on our menu, and making stew by batch is very challenging, and soups as well. And that was really the core of our menu. But now we've expanded to, we didn't even have appetizers. We had one salad, I think. Now we've got 3 salads and 8 or 9 appetizers and half a dozen sandwiches and a lot less comfort food. Like, it's really evolved.
I remember the first times years ago, I definitively a lot more stew focused. Like it was really old school, like, that winter time or that, that shitty day feeling, and you just needed, there's that bowl of soup or that bowl of stew that just said, oh, this is not that bad.
But that's what I mean by the evolution, because we had 2 sizes. We had giant and enormous. And in 91, we called them bowls. We called them bowls and kettles, but they were like a bowl of soup we served was probably 20 ounces of soup, and then a bigger one was 30. Like, it was enormous, and you could get a chunk of bread with it, and that was the concept. Yeah. But as people grew, like, well, I don't need to eat that much, and I don't want to have that much bread, I don't want to have this X, Y, and Z. So we're like, okay, well, let's evolve with them. What do they? I mean, just push and pull strategies of marketing. I don't want to stuff it down your throat if you don't want it. What do you want? And I'll give you that. I mean, it makes sense from a customer perspective. So we evolved, and we reduced our sizes and then introduced new things. And although we still are caught very much in being considered a fall and winter place, even though we have got cocktails and salads and, and like all kinds of cold hot weather stuff, but people in their mind are thinking French onion soup and beef bourguignon for Kenny, and
those are every day, man. Who cares what the temperature is?
I agree. Like, you drink coffee. I drink coffee every day. I don't care if it's 100 degrees.
I don't give a shit. Yeah, it's true.
It's so bizarre.
Soup on a hot day is actually quite nice. It opens your pores and cools you down.
Right. I agree, but it's in the way that people can want to eat, and whatever. We've introduced ribs and French fries, and we only introduced French fries on our menu this past year. So we haven't had French fries, which is a staple of almost any restaurant. We haven't had it for 24 years, and then we just ended. Yeah, it's and we were like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing it. And finally, like, oh, okay, we'll do French fries. Give the people what they want, right? They want French fries. Okay, here you go.
And French fries are sort of that comforty thing too.
Absolutely,
a little hit of salt and that crisp.
Oh yeah, hell, right? You want salt and fat? There you go. I mean, delicious.
That's kind of back to it, right? Salt and fat, man.
Absolutely, and so they've been received well, of course, and so it is an evolution though. My chef and I, we talked about never wanting to do vertical food. You remember, like, haute cuisine? You'd put a chive on top, and it was the dish ended up being 3 inches or 5 inches or 6 inches high. Whatever. We're like, no, we're doing everything in bowls. When we first opened, we didn't have a plate. There's not one plate in the entire restaurant. Everything was in a bowl. Hilarious. It was like, no, we're doing bowls. We're going the other way. We're going.
Again, the two of us are good with that, right? Like he's actually in town. He's heading back home tonight. But like, most of what we ate this week has been comfort. We were a lot of Asian this week, but it was like just comfort food. I like rice. I like noodles. I like soup. I like. I don't know. It's that,
and it doesn't need to be pretty. Like I don't know.
No, I don't give a shit about the pretty.
Like I've not been to the Burgoo, but it doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to taste good, right? Like it's got to be. It's got to be all there. Yeah.
You know what I love about that spirit is that every culture. I think that I'm not. My history is not excellent, but I believe that every culture has their own sort of hot, whatever that was, going back hundreds or thousands of years. 100%. Every culture, and so like. There's something rudimentary about being a human being. There's something like at the root of us that wants that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so we tried to we tried to really capture that. We used to put beside each of our menu items what country they were from. And we've had pho, we've had laksa, we've had tom kha gai, we've had so many different from all over, from every walk of life. We've had these different things, and it's been great because people are like, oh, I'll try that.
Because it resonates with everybody. Everybody has a dumpling. Everybody has a bread. Everybody's got a soup. Everybody's got a stew. Now, then you get nuances after. Who gives a shit? The core stuff, everybody's got it. Whether it's a noodle like a pasta noodle or a rice noodle, there's a noodle somewhere in that.
It's so true.
You just know you're going to find noodle, bread, dumpling, soup somewhere in there.
Yes, and it's going to be delicious, and you're going to leave satisfied and feeling good, and then you're on your way. Like
nice and simple, but just that feeling of, I don't know. It's just the comfort word gets over, but it is that it just makes you feel grounded again. Like you just get that moment to say, okay, the world's not that bad until we turn the news back on.
Right now, well, I think make a good point about back to your, just back to the idea that you're, you just want it to taste good. And that's your heart, and that's your soul, and that's where you're coming from. That's what I want. I don't need it to be pretty. I don't want to eat a meal that I don't want to touch because it looks too pretty. I mean, would I want to be Michelin starred? For sure, of course. But but we're not. That's not who we are.
You're scared to eat it though.
You're right.
Like you don't want to destroy it, or you're not.
Don't touch it.
Well, I don't want to make a mess of it either, because what are you supposed to eat first? Then
right.
Give me a spoon and a bowl, man. I don't want
to. Let me shovel this in.
I want to enjoy it, man.
But I think I was actually reading about that too, because like even the Michelin star thing, it is a recognition of standards, but the one that seems to be really popping is the Michelin Bibs, like the gourmand bibs. Like it's a reflection of like great, kind of everyday restaurants. So you don't get, kind of 3 drops on a plate and, some little wedgie thing that, like $400 later. And, you think you've had the best cuisine in the world, right? But but like a Michelin Bib, for example, is a recognition of like great, kind of everyday or more ordinary, I guess that's average Joes, right? Like, and what we would love, and then what Michelin still recognizes, right? So
I like that. I love that.
So I really do. Yeah.
I think that's more everyday eating, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
You don't go to Michelin starred restaurants every day of the week. Well, maybe you guys do, but
maybe you do. I'm not that guy.
No,
right.
I've been to a couple. I've been to a couple. I was in a Wicked 3 in Cologne one time, or just outside of Cologne. It was ranked as the top 10. Blah blah blah. And it was great. If it was my money, would I have done it? Not a fucking hope. Right. Because I walked out and it was fine. It was really good. It was very cool, and the presentation was spectacular. But there was nothing that just, there was nothing that made me feel that, this is like Nonna would have made. Or, my mom my mom listens to this. So mom makes the best food. Let's be all clear. Get that out. Okay. You're not as good as Mom, Justin, just so you know.
I understand. No, I appreciate that. I will take second.
Maybe after recording, we'll talk differently, but not likely. But you know what I mean? Like, you don't walk out with that feeling. That's why I like Dario's. That's why I like your place. I like Sopra on the drive, plus I know Marco, but I like places where I do. I feel that, you sit
like a nourishment. Like you're nourished when you leave.
It's nourishing even in the environment. Like if you shoot the shit with friends, you listen to a conversation, or the server, says something stupid, or like just to get it going, and you're thinking, this is what you want, right?
Listen, I had breakfast in a lumber yard this morning, so I went to that.
Nice. You went to that standard
down on Kent there.
That's a great place.
So
that cafe is great.
And so he said to us, I said, what do you like, right? So he told me what he liked, and he said, but you got to get the wontons. The wontons feel like they've been made with love. And I'm like, how are you going to say, like, how do I say no to that, right? Like, what,
that's
like, what do you do?
Beautiful.
Like, yes,
we
have to get them,
are
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
He knows
so
how
I
to,
would
he knows
choose
how
that
to sell.
over
Like
a Michelin anything. Yeah,
yeah,
it's true. He does.
But that's the beauty of it. He's honest and like this is how it tastes. This is what I want to share with you. So great.
Yeah,
it's just getting harder to hang on to that too, I guess. Like especially in the last couple, like since COVID for sure. Never mind the COVID part, but what it sort of did to the supply chain and what it's done to pricing. And then you got, we do have climate issues. We've got diseases and drought. Like it's gotten really hard. It's getting harder for good restaurants to make it. And there are good restaurants that it's too bad because they were good restaurants. I guess the business model just didn't work. The margins didn't work. I mean, it's getting tough to charge $35 for a plate of pasta. I mean, I know what a plate of pasta costs and I can do it at home. I'm Italian. I get it.
Right.
So, but so sometimes it's trying to get past those, but I feel for you guys because it's gotta be.
It's very hard. The city and the province and feds do not make it easy either. Like there's no real small business support. They're not interested in small businesses, which seems irresponsible to me since there's so many small businesses.
Just because 80% of us work in small business. You mean that's why?
Yeah, it seems so irresponsible that like they don't care about the pricing, they don't care about property taxes, they don't care about wages, they don't care for the small business perspective from the small business perspective. Like they keep one of my biggest pet peeves is when the government says we're giving you another day off and they introduce another holiday and they take credit for it. You're like, no, we're paying people for that.
Who pays?
Right?
And it's not that we don't want to pay. Business,
happy to pay it. Happy to pay.
But it's got to come out of something.
Right.
Like this, like in our city, like triple net. Who the fuck invented triple net?
Oh my gosh!
Like seriously, like what? How do you pay $35 a foot and then plus 10? You're thinking, what?
Wait,
no. I wish it was 35 plus 10.
For our listeners, Kenny,
I know.
Kenny, just to explain that for a second, right? Because we have a lot of CPG listeners, so I don't know if they understand triple net.
Well, most places when you lease a place, It's $30 a foot or whatever it is, right? And typically the landlord thereon takes care of the taxes and all the other upkeep and all the other bullshit that goes with the building because it's not yours. Like in our city, you rent the space and then you pay above.
Oh yeah.
So you don't. So a lot of it will be, and 35 is probably getting light to your point. Like I don't know what Main Street now, $40 a foot, 45. It's higher.
$71.
No.
$71 per square foot.
Really?
Plus what they call plus. They call it common taxes, which is common area maintenance and taxes. So it's 71. Right. Currently, my lease just went up this June. $71 a square foot plus common taxes. It's not.
And what's that? Another 10 ish.
No, it's more than that. It's not even close to that. It's much more than that.
So think about that, because people are listening, right? You think of like, especially our CPG friends, when we're like him and I hammer margins, like we bust their nuts on margins, right? And cost. You're renting a place on Main Street for over $80 a foot.
Oh yeah,
get 3,000 square foot space, which is good size. That would be, let's say that's even too large. Say 1,500 square feet, like a good decent space. Do the math.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And that's not even our most expensive place.
You got to sell to break even.
Yeah, that's our second most expensive place. Downtown is way more than that.
And that's just the rent component. Staff, cost of goods.
Other taxes. One of the BIA director from the Mount Pleasant BIA asked me to send him he said, how much do you pay in tax? And I said, well, what tax are you talking about? Are you talking about employers health tax? Are you talking about WorkSafe BC? Are you talking about CPP? Are you talking about EI? Are you talking about property tax? What tax do you want to know?
All in?
Right. So the number of taxes, the amount of taxation we pay to the province and the city is it's shocking. So that's why your pasta is costing $35. It has not, I feel, and this is the frustration is that
but nobody explains that. It's what it is. It's because all you restaurant guys are making too much money. See, you guys are all greedy. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And the guys who are selling you the food expensive, they're greedy.
Yeah.
That's the story, right? And you're thinking,
I wish that were true. I wish that were true. I wish I was greedy that way.
Yeah, I wish we were all making money.
Oh, because it would be so much easier. It's challenging. It's challenging. For sure.
I feel like so I think that's where, like, it's actually funny because it's not funny, but it's what we've been talking about all week. Because one of the first conversations he and I had this week when I landed was we were talking about just the cost of meals, right? Like, and how not that, you know, because it is more expensive. I have a family of 5. He has a family of 4. Right. You used to be able to go out and for like a nice family meal, you could do something around $100 without alcohol, maybe 120, 130 with alcohol. Right.
Mm-hmm.
For a family of 5, you can't get in under 200, 220, 230.
Now, probably.
Yes.
Right?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's
you know, but the thing is even in that situation, you worry that the restaurant isn't making enough money. Right. I'm sure we're on the minority because we actually understand like packaged goods and we understand margins there. But we do, like Kenny was saying that he went to a Greek restaurant, paid $200 for 4 people, and he worried that they weren't making enough money per plate.
We went to Neighbors, right? And I like Neighbors. I like the new spot, right? Nice spot, great service, family focused, like just, you know, nice people, right? Good food, nothing fancy dancy, but fuck, man, it's Greek. Let's be serious.
Yeah.
How do you get to $200 for 4 people with just 2 beer on Greek food? Honestly, it's
rice and pita and
exactly.
Hummus, and you're like,
but
how can you get
I'm sitting there thinking, Jesus Christ, I hope they made some money on us.
Yeah.
Because I know that at $50 a head, I get it. It was expensive in terms of, yes, it's not cheap to eat out, but I'm actually thinking, fuck, man, I hope they
well, they're forced to cap the expenses. They can't charge. They may need to charge you $60 each to make a little bit of money, but they can't. They can't.
Yeah. But they can't do that.
Yeah. Because the math I did, but I'm sitting there feeling, you know, I'm not happy with the price, but then I'm actually thinking, geez, maybe we should have paid more because I don't want these guys out of business. Yeah. Because you know, I know what the raw ingredients cost. I mean, I work for 2 food distributors. I know what the retail, you know what the wholesale prices are. I know what we pay for shit now.
Yeah. And you're the knowledgeable one. If you're a customer that doesn't have that insight, you're like, oh, $50 a person, that's expensive. No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's a really good deal.
Well, if anything, you should hope that they're actually going to be there next year because I'm hoping they can cover expenses.
Yes.
Like I'm actually, and now that I know it's $71, which I'm obviously I'm obviously thinking, you know, wholesale space or warehouse space. Because I guess you're right on Main Street. I mean, you know, I'm always thinking like off this. Jesus Christ, $71. How the hell do you do it?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's hard. Well, that's interesting because that's one of the things outside of Burgoo is what I'm trying to establish now. And this is sort of brings us to the point of we talked about, you know, what the bigger chains are, you know, the global behemoths or even the North American behemoths. The big chains, their pricing, their purchase pricing is a lot less than what I pay. Like if you have, and that's fair, right? Volume brings reduction. I get that. I understand the economics of it. So what I've been doing lately, I've created this business where because Burgoo has a fair amount of purchase. Not power. We're not a hotel. We got a little bit. I can get a better price than some people. So I'm a mom and pop store. So what I've done is I discussed with my primary vendor and another rebate procurement company and said, hey, listen, can you agree to give smaller operators my price if I bring them to you? And they said, and they were encouraged by that. So they said, yeah, sure. We will give you a special price. And the rebate company said, if you give us them, we'll also give rebates to them. If you can bring them to us as business. And I said, okay, let me take a look at that and see if I can help with that. Yeah. And so that's cool. I've been looking for, it's basically a buying group. So I've been going out talking to, I started with breweries because breweries, their secondary focus is food. Yeah. Right? Beer is obviously fundamental. So they're small, so they don't buy a lot of food, so they get bad pricing. Yeah. So I said, hey, okay, well, we'll call it street pricing, not bad pricing. Call it street
No, they
pricing.
pay wholesale, like true wholesale. That's it.
Yeah, true, exactly. So I've been talking with them and having really good success, saying, hey, listen, I can get you a reduced price for your food. So your food part your food service part is no longer a lost leader for people to come in and just drink beer. You'll actually make a little bit of money on selling food. And they're keen. They're like, that is great. And then I'm hoping to move to, one-off mom and pop stores. Says, hey, listen, I have an agreement with this supplier that can help you reduce your food costs because you're not going to reduce your rent. You're not going to reduce your labor. This is one of the most important pieces of your costing.
It's the only one you can actually control.
Yeah, truly. So it's going really well. I'm really having great conversations with really a lot of operators who are just looking for an alternative. How can I reduce my cost so that I don't have to charge $80 per person at a Greek restaurant in order to make money? I can charge my 50 and make a little bit of cash. So that's
and Neighbors, by the way, it was very good food, great dinner, nothing wrong with it, all good in the hood, not mad at the price.
But no, for sure. No, of course. They should. Their price should be higher. I'm here to tell you they should be charging you more.
Yeah, well, I was already there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope we.
Did you give them a Google review, Kenny?
You know me, I'd never think of shit like that.
Come on, Kenny, you got to do it.
I just keep going back.
That's the other part of all this.
I frequent, and then I tell people like you. See,
but it's the other part of all this, right? Is while you're trying to navigate costs and you're trying to make sure you got all that shit right, it just takes one asshole who just didn't have a good time or had a bad day to post a bad review, right? And then, do you know what I mean? And then everyone's so harsh about oh, well, they're only 4.3 or 4.2 stars. You're like, guys, read the comments, right? Because if it looks like great food, you've got to,
The impact, what's I find curious about that is that the 4-star review is actually not a great review. The impact of it is so immense, and now obviously a 1 and 2 star is really damaging. But the impact of the system, because it's only 4 out of 5, it should be 9 out of 10, or it should be 10 stars, it should be, or even out of 100, because that really lessens the impact. Because a 4-star review can really damage a restaurant.
Well, 4 is 80%.
Yeah.
Right. But people think, 4 out of 5 is pretty good, and I can see that. I can see the perspective. 4 out of 5 is pretty good. Nothing's perfect, so well, we need a different system somehow. These platforms
it's either that or you get people like us. First off, I'll look if it's a 3, I'm probably not going to do a thing. If it's a 4, 5, or 4, 2, 4, I already know. Okay, I'm going to go in. I'm going to eliminate the 3 idiots, 5 idiots, because I know they're there. And then I'm going to eliminate the other knucklehead who had a fantastic time, great service, great meal, 3.9. You're thinking, okay, fuck, I don't know how you got there, but that's fine. I read a 5, but you gave a 3, 9, or a whatever. Okay, sure. I don't know how you got there, Einstein, but whatever. You know what I mean? So you're kind of, I think more, if you're more discerning, you will read and you can pull the thread, and you can see that the 4 or 5 people,
but most are not.
Said,
yeah. And then most are not, and then I think
or it's a straight number, Phil. It's just 4.
It develops
5,
this ecosystem of very harsh, reviews, right? Because it now theoretically you have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 reviews or whatever, and you're at a 4.3. Anything above a 4 is a great restaurant, right? But you know what people will do is they'll go, I don't know, it's 4.3. I don't know if we want mediocrity. Let's look for a 4.9, right? If I don't get a 4.9, I'm not eating, right? And you're like, what the hell are we doing, right?
And I'm thinking you probably cook at a level 2.5 at home. You're well into the world of excelling.
That's right. That's right. But you're judging my 4.7 with 10,000 stars. What the hell, right?
You know what's really another. I hate to bring this up because it's quite challenging. Is the delivery drivers on the delivery platforms also will rank you. So we demand that a delivery driver brings a insulated bag to make sure our food remains hot. Yeah. And they, they're busy, they're running in and out, and they forget their bag all the time. So we say, no, we're not giving you our food unless you bring your bag. We can't give it to you. And there's also lots of operators that do this. But then they will give us a 1-star review. And how damaging is that to me? Like you're supposed to. All I'm asking you to do
You
is bring
didn't
your
come
bag.
prepared, and I got penalized.
And I got penalized. It's really it's so confusing. So this idea that the reviews have any real accuracy, to your point, Phil, is like 4.3 is amazing. Like wow.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
I think anything after a 4, to be honest with you, is if it's in the 3s, it's and then you got to look how many. If it's in the 3s and there's 1,000, there's something pulling the weight down.
Sure, that's fair. That's absolutely
I get
right.
it. But if you got 10,000, it's a 4.3. I'm always thinking, okay, there's 2,500 idiots. I already know that. So you're kind of trying to go through the thing. It's probably really like a 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, which is like mind-bendingly high.
Which is incredibly high.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's true.
The industry is.
Tough.
I mean,
it's a tough time.
I wonder if your industry, the CPG industry, is that right? CPG, is that right?
Yeah.
Consumer. Yeah. Okay. Consumer packaged goods. Is the same as restaurants, because if someone comes into the restaurant and buys something and consumes it, this is the other thing that we do. We sell people things that they ingest. Every single day, which is an incredible business model. If you go to a retail store, whether it's food or otherwise, you will focus your concern not on who sold it to you, but on the packaged product itself. So whatever the brand is, right?
Yeah.
So your consternation doesn't go back to the company who sold it to you. Whereas if you eat food in a restaurant, it's 100% on the restaurant.
Yeah.
Right. Which isn't always the case, because sometimes you bring in stuff that you don't prepare. We cook 95% of our stuff. We only bring in very few things, but typically, it's I wonder how that plays a role in the understanding of the hospitality industry. Like if you buy a shirt, you're not going to ingest it. It's not going to hurt you. But if you come to our place and you ingest something, it's important. We have the ability to harm you, unwittingly, of course.
Yeah.
But the idea that we're serving food to everybody, to people, 364 days a year, and we get very few complaints about it is remarkable. Like if you're 4.3, it's not just me. I'm not just talking us. I'm talking the industry.
Yeah.
That's an incredible.
I think so.
Statistic.
Yeah, it is.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah.
Like really, it's remarkable to me that I don't think there's enough. I don't. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but there's not a deep enough understanding of what goes into the production and delivery of prepared foods.
People don't even get it in CPG though, Justin. So for example,
is that right? Interesting.
You have a box of cereal on the shelf.
It's true.
You don't know how it got there. You don't know how much time. You don't know the cogs. You don't know the transport issues. You don't know the shipping containers. So people don't know that. And then what you do, I didn't like it, a 1. And you're thinking, what the fuck did you give out? You didn't like it. What didn't you like?
Right.
You didn't
opinion
like
versus the
don't
fact.
eat it.
Yeah.
Like seriously, don't eat it. I didn't like it because I found a mouse spider thing. Different issues. I don't like it because it, like I don't like had too much sugar. Well, read the fucking package. You didn't have to buy it.
It's become a preference versus a fact of the product.
So basically, you're killing somebody's business potentially because I didn't like it because I didn't like the beef bourguignon. I didn't like the wine he put in. All right.
Okay. No, it's interesting. It really is.
You know what I mean? So you're getting penalized on shit that you're thinking you have no clue what you're. I don't think people appreciate what these stupid numbers do.
Yes,
that's true. People, you have shitty service. Your waiters, whatever servers are doing shitty jobs. Your food tastes like shit. Yeah, okay, and even like shit that's subjective. Yeah. But there are some fundamentals. Like I would never post where we went for the burger. I won't.
Right.
I don't. It could have just been a shitty day. I don't know.
Yeah, it just could have been.
Why
a rough
give them a
day.
1 or a 2?
But also we didn't give them
one day.
But we also, and I think the other half of that, because I think as consumers we should be responsible for that too. We probably had an opportunity to say to them, hey, listen, the burger's off, right? Like something wrong with it. Like did you guys miss something? Is there a sauce that goes with this? Is there something? Right? But we didn't say anything. Not that, and like don't want that to come across like, oh, you didn't call the server over and yell at them or anything, or throw the burger in the kitchen. None of that stuff, right? Like, but there could have been a conversation. We could have said to them, hey, you know what? The burger's a little off. Is there something missing, or did somebody miss something in the back, or is this the way it was intended, right? Because that would change the way you probably review if you were ever going to review. But I'm the same as you. I wouldn't presume to know, and I wouldn't post a review for that, right? But I would post if I went to a restaurant, it was amazing, right? Like, but
absolutely,
you don't always get that, right? Like you do get people who kind of like, oh, I'm going to be an influencer, I'm going to post shit, and you're like, oh my god, that's shit. Like, why?
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get
you can you're thinking relative to what? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, and also I believe you can get a 5-star review even if the food wasn't good, because how they recovered from it. If you inform them and say, hey, listen, this doesn't taste great, and they recover and they give you a free meal and a dessert and a gift card for later. They're like, really sorry, we're having a bad day, we're short-staffed,
or they explain to you, this is why it tastes this way. You didn't realize that this is a bitter component. Would you like something different?
Sure, exactly. Yes, I would. Thank you for asking. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just that, and again, that comes back to the genuity of service. Like, I care about your experience. And let me know, and if I don't make it better, then you're going 2-star, 3-star. You didn't do anything to help me.
Yeah.
But if you went out of your way to make my experience better,
but that means, you know what though? That means you have to talk to somebody. That means you have to articulate a thought. That means you have to communicate. That means you have to
be an adult.
It's so much better than hit the one in the parking lot, like a chicken shit. And think, well, I taught them a lesson, didn't I?
Right. It is, and it is encouraging that discourse, right? It is encouraging that as operators, we encourage our teams to ask, hey, not just how is everything in this generic thing. It's like, specifically, what do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
You didn't eat all the food. Was it okay?
Right. And just get them talking, because sometimes the people are afraid to talk sometimes, and they don't want to
offend anybody publicly. Again, parking lot, they'll do that. But if you just ask, you didn't finish all of it. Was it okay? Was there something you didn't like? And then something, I really wish it had. I don't like tomatoes. I didn't, you could have asked for no tomatoes, I guess. But, maybe there is a workaround or something. Or maybe they knock $1. Sometimes it's something so stupid.
No, but so
big.
So last night we went to a Chinese restaurant for dinner, and it was. We've been there before. It's a great restaurant, but it was very slow last night. Like, very, very slow. We were there for hours and hours, right? And then we didn't say anything, two of us spoke Cantonese. So after a while, you figured out from the conversations that are happening, they were down a few folks, right? So everything was slow, so said nothing. And then at the end of the meal, they gave us a dessert, and I'm allergic to mangoes, right? So I looked at the dessert, and it kind of had that, kind of orangey tinge that might, and so we asked the guy, and he said, to be honest, I'm not really sure. And I said, don't worry about it. I'm not going to eat it. It's just dessert. I've had a great meal, whatever. And they just wouldn't let it go, right? So, they went in the back, they found another dessert. Didn't ask us, just brought it, right? And it was delicious, really right? Didn't charge us for it. And he was just like, and we asked, there's no mango in this. You're totally okay to eat this.
Awesome.
Have a great night. And it changed the entire thing, right? You were just like, wow, like,
and what was it?
We didn't ask for it, right? Like, I actually said to them, don't worry about it. I don't need dessert. I'm good. And they're like, no.
No,
like,
we want you to have a great experience.
Right? Yeah, that's
so
right.
Good.
So good.
It was really
so
good,
amazing, right? Like,
and a lot of it was it was communicated poorly all the way through. Like him and the other one spoke Cantonese, so they rattled off a few questions, and then it sort of came out slowly. Listen, 3 guys didn't show up,
right?
Something to that, or 2 guys, whatever the number was, didn't show up,
which is hard. That's hard for the rest of the people.
It is.
That's hard work.
Better would have probably been to communicate it, but at the end of the day, you know what? And that's to your point. I think if we had left, we were leaving thinking, God, that was, not great.
No,
really,
the food was
really
good.
slow.
It's just
and then
we could have had another breakfast in here.
And then you give a $5 dessert, and all of a sudden, that wasn't that bad.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Well, because they showed they cared about you. They were actually genuinely cared about you.
Yeah, they did. They
felt bad.
Really did. Yeah.
And you're thinking, and then you feel bad thinking, well, we didn't mean to make you feel bad. Like, we're just
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
No,
incredible. It's the
it's
human side. It's the human side of it, really. It's the human side of service. Like, it's not to be servile to somebody or to someone's servant, but it's to, you know what? I care about you.
Yeah.
You're a human being. I'm a human being. Let's work this together.
Yeah, let's see if we can fix it.
I love
And
it.
sometimes we can't, but at least you listen to it, and and that's sometimes it saves you from the parking lot one.
Right. The 1-star, the parking lot 1-star review.
Parking lot 1 star.
Yeah. Wow.
Nothing worse.
I wrote a review for them last night too, Kenny. Did you write a review?
No.
I did.
What'd you say?
Kenny, I said it was great food. I said it was great food, and it was attentive service because they got there, right? Like they really, I didn't need it. I actually said to them, I don't need dessert. I'm fine, right? And we would have left. And I wouldn't have written them a review because, again, right? It's like one of those one-offs. Or if I did, it would have been like really great food. Like I wouldn't talk about the service, right? But I wrote it. Like seriously, that was really sweet of them. It was really considerate, and they genuinely cared that I wasn't going to leave without feeling, like they'd looked after me, right? So, yeah.
I thought.
What more do you ask for? You can't ask for more than that. So, yeah.
I thought so.
Next time I will bring Kenny to Burgoo. Because clearly I can't wait for Kenny to bring me there.
Thank you, Phil.
So next time I come, we'll come to Burgoo. So
please let me know.
While we're texting, you're coming to Burgoo too. You come down, we'll have lunch together.
I'd love to spend some time with you guys in person. That would be.
We'll buy you lunch in your place.
We love that.
Buy me lunch. Okay, I'm gonna order big then.
We love that.
You can do what you want.
Yeah, you do.
What you want.
Order whatever you want.
This is how you make some margin.
Right.
Stick it on those two.
It's true. I love it. Thank you for doing this. This has been amazing.
You guys are wonderful to speak with. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Like, so great. Like,
pleasure,
anytime I'd love to chat with you on here or in person. Anytime.
Let's support local, baby.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
Well, thank you both.
Thanks so much.
Enjoy your day. Hopefully you get power back or whatever.
Yeah, not back on yet, but it'll come, I'm sure.
Okay. Phil, stick around.
Good luck.
Okay.
Take it easy, man.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao. You'll like the restaurant.
Great.
You'll like it. You know why? It's totally me and you food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah. I saw the menu, so I already have an impression.
The mac and cheese is awesome. Like, I mean, seriously, there's some
lobster mac and cheese. How can you say no?
Seriously, you can't go really wrong, right?
Yeah.
But you'll go to the beef bourguignon, like seriously, because it's that it just coats your stomach, man. It feels so good.
I love it.
Yeah, that's all good. Man.
That's awesome. All right.
Okay, buddy boy. You have a safe flight home.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you. I will.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening.